I don't think anyone can credibly know what Kim Jong-un will or will not do, know his intention or know his resolve.
Welcome to the GZERO world. I'm Ian Bremmer here in New York City. This week we're kicking off with the Korean Olympics. They're in South Korea. The North Koreans are visiting. All sorts of things going on. I'll also be talking a little bit to Sue Terry. She is in charge of the Korea Center at CSIS. She has been the most important intelligence analyst in the United States on all things North Korean for the NSC, the CIA, National Intelligence Council under the Bush and Obama administrations. Talk a little bit about rolling back democracy in Kenya. We're going to talk about Memo-gate in the Trump administration and your puppet regime, where Angela Merkel has a Valentine's letter for us. 'Tis the season. First, your world this week. We've got Winter Olympics starting. That's the big news. It's in Pyeongchang, South Korea, just across from North Korea. Who thought that was a good idea? It's wonderful to have all the athletes coming together and even a large North Korean delegation. Sounds like peace, but you also have Vice President Pence talking about the toughest ever sanctions from the United States coming down. Don't let the North Koreans fool you with their small diplomacy. Maybe the most important thing happening in South Korea right now is who's not there. There's no U.S. ambassador. Victor Cha, very smart guy on things Korean, fairly hawkish himself, pulled out of that process because he told White House officials doesn't support a preemptive strike. White House says, we don't want you there. Trump wants military options against the North Koreans. And of course, the ability to understand whether the North Koreans would sit and take it or would react with violent force against South Korea, nobody has a clue, making things more dangerous. The North Koreans are sending this delegation, including Kim Jong-un's sister, in large part because Trump has taken a tougher line against them. The South Koreans want to work closely with the North Koreans because they're concerned about the prospects of escalation from the U.S. There is a real opportunity here, but there's also a real prospect of war. Feel like rolling the dice? That's where we're going with the Olympics this year. How about Memo-gate? Hashtag release the memo. It's what everyone's been talking about around Washington and the United States over the past week. There's a Republican memo, there's a Democrat memo from the various parties in the House Intelligence Committee. The Republicans put out their version. The White House was very happy to see it because it questions the leadership of the FBI and the Department of Justice. Look, what this is doing is undermining the legitimacy of the FBI and Department of Justice leadership in the eyes of those that support Trump in the United States, and also critically gets the Republican leadership in Congress aligned with Trump on this issue, which means if Trump decides he's going to go after the Deputy Attorney General, if he decides he's going to go after Mueller directly, he now has a lot of allies to do that. Ultimately hurts the country, but it's a politically shrewd strategy. And finally to Kenya, where we have serious rollback of democracy. We just had a rerun of those presidential elections, and Uhuru Kenyatta gets 98% of the vote. That's got to be free and fair, right? Well, it's because the opposition said it's not going to be free and fair. We're not going to bother to show up. Instead, Raila Odinga says, I'm going to declare myself president, give an oath in a park. He's the people's president, not recognized by anyone. And Kenyatta says, we're going to shut down all the opposition media. Not the kind of thing you like to see in Kenya, not the kind of thing that's going to be turned around anytime soon. And now, your puppet regime.
Chancellor Merkel, as you know, here in the United States, we're about to celebrate Valentine's Day. And so I have to ask you, is there any relationship that you wish had panned out better?
Well, there is one. It was the summer of 1987 in East Germany. You, a foreign agent with a chip on your shoulder, and I, a physical chemist with vibrational properties of surface hydroxyls on my shoulder. Was there an agency of physical chemistry in store for us? I had learned your tongue, you had learned mine. And yet, how fast it all unraveled. The walls fell, our world crumbled. You, betrayed, went east to take power ruthlessly, shirtlessly. I, betrothed, went west to take power methodically, mirthlessly. And then, one day, years later, we would meet I still remember it. You had to bring that bitch with you. Alas, I will defend what you wish to destroy, Bova. And yet, I still think back to those hot summer days, to what was and what might have been. Do you think of me?
Dmitri, prepare my horse.
But you don't look like a normal talking head. You actually look like, you know, not quite Oprah, but you know, you're like, you know.
And I'm glad to welcome to your age group headquarters here in New York City, Sue Mi Terry. She is Senior Fellow and Korea Chair at the Center for Strategic International Studies in Washington, D.C. Before that, she ran all things Korea for the National Intelligence Council, the NSC, and the CIA under Bush and Obama administrations. In other words, if you're worried about things Korea, and with the Olympics kicking off tonight, yes, on the peninsula, we are. There's no one better to talk to than Sue Mi Terry. Sue, delighted that you're here. Welcome to the GZERO.
Thank you for having me on.
We're about to have a few weeks of the South and the North coming together. We've got a women's joint ice hockey team. They're going to lose. What do you think comes out of the next few weeks?
It's a lot of a happy feeling, although you don't want the hockey team to lose too badly. You've already seen domestic backlash against the Moon administration, not only coming from the conservatives, but by the younger generation of the Koreans who are unhappy about the joint hockey team. They're even unhappy about North Korea and South Korea marching together under one unified some flag, because younger generation is saying, what is this country? Why can't we have our own flag? And why should North Koreans be part of this hockey team?
So young people in South Korea aren't behind the opening up to working together at the Olympics?
They're unhappy about why does North Koreans have to mess up our hockey team? Can we not play under our own flag? Because they have no affiliation or affection towards North Korea. It's not like my grandparents' generation, who came from, my grandparents came from North Korea. So there's affection towards North Korea. I think younger generation does not have any of that. They have no memory of that. They were born in Gangnam after war, they don't even know poverty. They were born in a rich country. Part of North Korea's calculation here is not only image makeover, but also to this is going to be used as an insurance against provocations later down the road.
They're sending political officials as well. Do you think we could come out of this with a very different mood?
There's a small window of possibility, but North Korea, South Korea improving their relationship does not still solve the problem. Because North Korea, even in the New Year's address, when it said, okay, we're going to send a delegation to the Olympics, but by the way, we're still going to mass produce our weapons. Yes. During the Sunshine Years, 10 years where South Korea gave North Korea some $8 billion, did it change North Korea? Did it change North Korea into some other normal state? It didn't. So I think the progress has to be really made between Washington and Pyongyang for there to be progress on the nuclear and missile front.
What do you think about the potential for regime implosion?
You look at pillars of stability, like what made the regime stable all this time, and there's a couple pillars, right? There's elite support, which is the most important part. As long as the elite support the regime, it continues. So even in the famine years, millions of people die, it doesn't matter as long as elites support you. But when you talk to some other senior defectors that have defected, like Tae Young-ho, Lee Jong-ho, some North Koreans that came out, elites are not unified under Kim Jong-un. They don't have any love lost. I mean, they actually respected Kim Il-sung, the founding father of North Korea. There was less so under Kim Jong-il, but Kim Jong-un, this 30-some-year-old guy, Kim Jong-un's stability is still, I think, fragile. And I don't think we don't think enough about that, but that's what I believe.
Who has a plan? Do the Chinese have a plan? Do the South Koreans have a plan? Do the Americans have a plan for what happens if there's regime change? Are they talking to each other about it?
I think there's all internal planning to some degree. I think U.S. is trying to talk to China. This is a very difficult conversation to have with China. Chinese have been historically concerned that even having a conversation, that would get leaked to North Korea and that would upset North Koreans. But it's a conversation that's absolutely critical. It's needed because it could happen whether we want it or not. Regime instability, regime collapse. And because of potential challenges to the international community, like securing nuclear weapons, should be a concern to China as to the United States. So conversation really desperately needs to happen.
I mean, if you want to rank the threats around North Korea, What's number one?
The Trump administration deciding to conduct a limited military strike in North Korea, and that conflict escalating into war will be my number one concern.
The military option, as I understand it, the punch in the face scenario is you degrade significantly some of their military capabilities. It's not a decapitation strike. And the presumption is if they were to try to hit the United States in return, they know that it's over for them.
I don't think anyone can credibly know what Kim Jong-un will or will not do, know his intention or know his resolve. So from his perspective, he might have to retaliate more significantly because domestically, he cannot look or appear to look weak in front of his elites, domestic standing-wise, because it's all about him looking tough and standing up against the United States, standing up against Mr. Trump.
What do we think we know about Kim Jong-un?
Well, we know that he's ruthless. We know that he's brutal. I mean, just look at how he executed his uncle, the second most powerful man in North Korea, Jang Song-taek, a year after he came in, publicly embarrassed and humiliated Jang Song-taek and all these people by dragging him out, put him in a public stadium, and killed him with an anti-aircraft gun.
Was Kim Jong-un there?
We believe so. And hundreds of Chang's associates and their family members were also executed. So no question, Kim Jong-un is one of the most brutal, ruthless men in the world. I do think he's rational in that I don't think he's suicidal. His father was not suicidal either. I don't think he's ideological. Kim Jong-un, I think, is more like a normal dictator in that he wants to live a long time and die peacefully in his own bed. So in that sense, he's rational.
And, I mean, if you leave aside the potential for military strikes, if Trump decides not to do that, take it off the table, even if he still threatens it, it's not going to happen. Has Trump policy towards North Korea been fine?
Broadly speaking, I think the Trump administration's policy of maximum pressure is the right one in terms of pressing through sanctions, trying to get China to do more on North Korea, even if we have to press China by going after secondary boycott and sanctions and so on. I think that's the right approach, minus the rhetoric, because the rhetoric of rocket man on a suicide mission or totally destroying North Korea, that's unhelpful. Kim Jong-un, only thing he has to do is continually press that, totally destroy North Korea over and over, and it's not helpful. It doesn't achieve anything.
So the last question then, what's the single worst thing that Trump could tweet?
I think it has to do with insulting Kim Jong-un, saying Kim Jong-un does not have legitimacy at home because his mother was not a real wife of Kim Jong-il, that his mother was only a mistress, and that he doesn't have legitimacy as a real leader. And that's why he killed Kim Jong-nam, his half-brother, because he was concerned about legitimacy issue. Wow, okay. I'm not saying Mr. Trump should do that.
I'm going to make sure that Trump doesn't hear about that.
Okay, cut that out.
Between us.
Okay.
Sue Me Terry, thank you so much. Wonderful to have you on the GZERO.
Thank you for having me on.
That's the show this week. I'm going to be heading over to Munich for the annual security conference. Lots of folks to talk to. Next week, you're going to have a special conversation between me and former Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, David Miliband. Don't miss it.